Hello and welcome back to Wavelengths. It's still a show about video game news, and I am still Brendan Bigley. This is probably the first episode of this show that you're seeing, because it's the first one that I'm talking about publicly, at least. So thank you so much for clicking on the link. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. All of that stuff means a lot. It's hard to launch a new show. So thank you for being here and helping me do just that. We have a bunch of news today that is related to video game releases. So let's get into that, because that's some exciting stuff. First up, a fun one. This is coming from Jay Peters over at The Verge, who spotted that Young Horses, the developers of Octodad and Bug Snacks for the PlayStation 5, just released 4 free games on Steam, one of which is actually really cool. One of which is just the student-developed version of Octodad. It's like the original kind of like prototype proof of concept version of Octodad that you can just like play for free, which is kind of cool as like a, you know, backing up of history kind of thing. But the other 3 are just kind of experiments, a bunch of which are just made in Unreal Engine 5. So Young Horses, the development team, can like kind of get acclimated in a new engine. But one of them is called Snake Date, which involves you playing as a snake, kind of like slithering around a club, trying to find a date. And then the other 2 games are both games that involve a bunch of ants, one of which I'm absolutely obsessed with, called Antbassador, where you are a finger with a smiley face on it and a top hat, and you need to make your way around a colony of ants, and you are literally like a human ambassador to a colony of ants. I haven't played any of these yet, but I am absolutely going to download all of these. This news like just broke right before I started recording, so I haven't even had time to check this stuff out yet. But I am very excited. I love Young Horses when they get like as weird as possible. Octodad is like one of my favorite indie games ever. I just think that game is like so fun and so funny. If you haven't played Octodad in multiplayer mode, the way it works is you and whoever you're playing with, it's couch co-op, each get a controller, and you're each controlling half of Octodad. So one person is controlling one half, so like 4 tentacles on one side, and then the other person is controlling 4 tentacles on the other side. And it's extremely weird and extremely fun, and I highly recommend checking that out, along with these 4 free games that are available on Steam. Up next is some news from Tom Henderson that dropped yesterday, which is, I think, really interesting, because I didn't expect this to happen so quickly, but apparently Armored Core 6, the new game from Software, and the, believe it or not, 6th game in the Armored Core franchise, is coming out August 25th, 2023. Tom Henderson, his track record is like pretty solid. Like, it's as solid as an industry insider / leaker can be. So this game, him saying specifically a date being August 25th, makes me think that it's probably going to come out on August 25th or sometime around then. It at least is coming out this year. That's kind of what I'm taking away from this, is like Armored Core 6 is a game that's coming out this year. The thing that's interesting to me is I'm curious to see how this game is going to be messaged and broadcast to people, because is it just going to be directed at people who are a fan of Armored Core games and have been waiting for Armored Core 6 for a long time? Because those people are all going to buy the game no matter what. Like, if you're an Armored Core fan, you're already like pre-ordering the thing. You're ready for Armored Core 6. You've been waiting for this, and it's happening. I'm curious to see how they're going to message this game to new players who haven't played Armored Core games in the past, specifically hot off the heels of the success of Elden Ring being like one of the biggest games of all time, kind of breaking into the mainstream even outside of video game industry people. Like, people who have never played FromSoft games before were picking up Elden Ring and getting into it. People who've never played video games before, like buying consoles to play Elden Ring. It was a huge deal. And this is the next game by the Elden Ring people. And that's kind of a tricky thing, especially considering Armored Core is known for being super in-depth, super customizable. Mechanics on top of mechanics, on top of mechanics, on top of mechanics. They're not like easy games. Not like Elden Ring was easy, but they're not easy games to get into, I think. So I'm curious to see if there's going to be literally any olive branch given to new players here, or if they're just going to be like, yeah, it's the new FromSoft game. If you like FromSoft, you're going to like this one. Because that's enough for some people, me included. I've never played an Armored Core game. I'm going to get Armored Core 6. It's going to be great. I'm going to have a good time with it. But for the people who like just bought a PS4 or a PS5 or an Xbox to play Elden Ring, I'm curious to see how they fare when they get excited about the new game by the Elden Ring people. Anyway, August 25th, 2023. Look forward to that. Another piece of news that dropped this morning, is that Star Trek Resurgence, which is a narrative storytelling game set in the world of Star Trek The Next Generation, like right after Star Trek The Next Generation ends, is coming out May 23rd, 2023. So next month, pretty soon. I'm excited by this game for a number of reasons, chief among them that I'm just a huge Star Trek The Next Generation fan. But on top of that, this is coming from a new team called Dramatic Labs, and it's a bunch of people from Telltale, the studio behind things like The Wolf Among Us and The Walking Dead and Batman. I'm curious about this game because I think when you look at how to adapt different intellectual property into the realm of video games, there are a bunch of different angles you can take. And the two, or the one that really sticks out to me compared to Star Trek, is the most recent Tron Identity, which is also a visual novel. Tron Identity, I think, taking the lore of Tron and taking the kind of big ideas of Tron and saying, why don't we explore those through a narrative, choose your own adventure path, instead of saying, yeah, this is just going to be another light cycle race game, was probably the smarter move in terms of like how to tell an interesting story in the world of Tron. Star Trek Resurgence is kind of going after a similar thing where, yes, you are a character and you're moving around a play space, but you're constantly given dialogue choices and you are dictating the way the story is going to go, which speaks more to, I think, what made Star Trek The Next Generation interesting than if it was just like an action adventure game where you're running around with phasers and shooting people in the face. That doesn't seem like it would really respect the IP. So I'm excited about this game. I hope the previews are good. There's some footage, which you're probably seeing right now, that was on IGN about a year ago, and I remember there was a little bit of blowback on the way the graphics looked. I think it'll be fine. As long as the story is there, as long as the acting is there, I'm on board. I'm a big enough Star Trek fan that I'm going to check this out regardless, but I would love for this to be the beginning of something new and cool for this franchise. One last thing I want to shout out today is that one of my favorite developers, Kenny Sun, released a new game today called Mr. Sun's Hatbox. It's on Steam and Switch. It's called a roguelite slapstick platformer. Again, I haven't had the chance to play this yet, but Kenny Sun has just kind of... Kenny Sun has carte blanche for me. Like, if they release a game, I will play it. Kenny Sun developed two games that I'm absolutely obsessed with. Number one is called Twinfold, which is a mobile game that I think is like one of the best mobile puzzle games ever. It's a roguelite. It's in the style of a game kind of like Threes, if you liked Threes. And then another game, Tender Creature Comforts, was one of my favorite games the year that came out. I think that might have been 2021, which was essentially like a narrative choose your own adventure version of Tinder, where you're dating a bunch of monsters, that I also think is absolutely brilliant. So anything Kenny Sun releases, I'm on board for. I'm going to play this game. I will probably talk about it on Into the Aether. I'm really, really excited about it. So Mr. Sun's Hatbox is out now. I'm keeping it kind of breezy today. One of the things that I've said about this show is that I will only record episodes when there's interesting news to talk about. And there's a bunch of other news stories that I think I could talk about, but to be totally honest, it's been long enough that a lot of that stuff has been covered elsewhere. So that said, I'm also not restricting myself to only recording one episode a week. If you are listening to this show on your podcast app of choice, or if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, just like stay tuned, because it's always possible that another thing will drop at any moment, and will make for another interesting episode of the show. Again, thank you so much for checking this out. Thank you for being here. This is Wavelengths. Like, comment, subscribe, write a review on your podcast app of choice, and I'll catch you later. Bye, everybody.